Jai Gurudev. Before the time finishes, at least I thought, let me just say hello to you. I remember, oh, I remember the early days of TV transmission in India when the technology was yet not so developed, and every now and then the transmission would stop, and it used to say, "Rukawat ke liye khed hai." That means sorry for the disruption. Yeah. So this is what is happening with us also. We are just trying out new things. Sometimes the connectivity is less. Sometimes something else happens. Yeah. So now that the time is almost over, we will continue with this on the next session about the Sanskrit grammar and their various other properties of Sanskrit which make it as an ideal language of deep intellectual discourse, ideal language for spiritual discussions, and ideal language, in fact, for scientific development and scientific expressions. Yeah? And of course, literature and poetry. I'll just a little time is left, so I'll talk about. It is a language in which the prefixes and suffixes are added to the original word. For example, I'll just give an example. Uh, the arrow of Rama, or Rama, the brother of Lakshman, or Sita, wife of Rama. So you cannot change the order of words in this. Wife, the Sita of Rama, or like that, you cannot change. The meaning will be completely, either will become different or it will become meaningless. But in Sanskrit, you can arrange the words in whatever order because the prefixes and suffixes are attached with the words themselves. No? And that makes it very easy for people to make poetry. Because like rhyming, for example, it's so easy to make rhymes. Also meter, it's so easy to fix a meter. And in Sanskrit, the science of meter in poetry is so precise that exact number of syllables, exact number of letters, exact number of the shorter letters and the longer letters and the sequence in which they come, all that can be determined exactly precisely. And therefore, each sloka which is following those rules can be pronounced, can be sung exactly in the same manner. So this is a beauty of the Sanskrit language. It is designed in such a way that it is ideal for, and in fact that's why most of the Sanskrit literature is in poetry. It's in shlokas. Mahabharata itself has 100,000 shlokas. Ramayana of Valmiki has 24,000 shlokas. And there are many people even nowadays who can fluently converse in Sanskrit in poetry, making shlokas, following all the rules of those shlokas in meter and rhyming and all those things. So this is one of the qualities. Then it is very ideal for even scientific discussions because the suffixes and prefixes can bring out finer nuances of the meaning. Like we discussed a few sessions back also about the importance of At Yoga Anushasanam, Anu added to Shasanam, how does it change its meaning? Similarly, Yogash Chitta Vritti Nirodha, how Rodha and adding Ni to it changes its meaning. And there are so many prefixes, there are 21 prefixes, and then suffixes are also there, and then their declensions are there. Each verb can produce thousands of words. Each root verb can produce thousands of uh, different words with different meanings, with the different nuances. No? So it's very easy to develop any new science, with the help. What happens otherwise is that we have to make use of words which are already existing in a different meaning. Like when we say electrical field. Now the word field was already there, no? But it meant a place where you grow vegetables or corn. No? But that same word was adopted in a different meaning. So that is the necessity in other languages. But in Sanskrit, you can always coin new words. And not just coin new words randomly, but coin new words in such a way that the very structure of the word will give a hint about its meaning. Yeah? So that is why it becomes very ideal for expressing the knowledge of science, and even new developments in science which are not there, they can be accommodated in this way. Yeah? So we have seen it is ideal for writing poetry, for literature, and of course the basic structure of Sanskrit, as I just discussed, is on the basis of spirituality. Starts from Atma. Everything starts from Atma. Everything starts from the self, and then comes outwards. Yeah? All letters start from Atma, and it is very clearly delineated how, through what processes that happens. No? And similarly, every verb, like the whole process of creation, is expressed in the language. According to modern physics, how does creation take place? Unified field, which is the source of all the laws of nature, which is the underlying field behind all the fermions and bosons. That means all matter and forces. That means basically everything in the universe. Unified field is one field. That one field, when it starts to become active within itself, like a water, when it rotates within itself, creates a whirlpool. Similarly, the unified field becoming active within itself creates prions and then quarks and all those particles and all the forces. And this is mirrored exactly in Sanskrit language. Starts with Atma. Atma starts to become active, producing verbs, root verbs. All the root verbs are derived from Atma. And then these verbs, then they form matter, like particles. Matter is represented by nouns, names of things. So things are produced out of activity of consciousness, just as in physics, out of the activity of the unified field, some matter gets created. So all that, in the beginning it seems very surprising. How could they do that, and times when there was no scientific instruments and all these things. And in the beginning I used to wonder about that. But now it has become clear, because unified field is the field of consciousness. So there are two ways of understanding and reaching unified field. One is through the subjective approach, and another is through the objective approach. Modern science has approached the same field through the objective approach, going deeper into molecules, into atoms, into particles and things like that. And it has not yet reached the ultimate, because ultimately unified field is consciousness itself. So it will have to change its track from objective way of dealing with things to subjective. Whereas in Vedic science, you start from the subjective in the beginning itself, and exploring the finer and finer levels of the mind, of the subjectivity of consciousness, one reaches at pure consciousness, which is the home of all the laws of nature, which is the home of all knowledge. Knowledge is structured in that consciousness. So everything that can be known by objective sciences can be known through the subjective sciences. And in fact, that is the only way at the end, only that subjective process can be relied upon. Because to find the deeper properties of particles, for smaller and smaller particles, you need bigger and bigger particle accelerators. And if you want to go to much smaller particles than we are doing today, at the level of the unified field, at the level of Planck scale, then you need particle accelerators as big as the whole solar system. And at the level of the unified field, basically the whole universe. So there's a limitation in how deep you can go in modern science, because through objectivity one cannot reach the ultimate subjectivity. Whereas in Vedic science, we understood right from the beginning that everything is basically mind stuff, as Schrödinger says, and then started exploring the depths of mind. And they reached the unified field, and that is how, and on that basis of that knowledge of the unified field through subjective experience, then the language was designed to express that knowledge. So the whole structure of Sanskrit language is a design, it's a refined language. It is not language which has just come out of usage by different people. No. If everybody starts calling a chair as something else, then that word gets accepted. No, it's not like that. Every word has a logic. And that logic has been decided by the rishis who have experienced the ultimate source of all thought, ultimate source of all knowledge. And therefore, the language is designed to express all knowledge from the highest first, rather than from bringing it up from the lower to the higher. It starts with the highest and then expresses it. And this is how the structure of Rig Veda, we'll have some time, someday to talk about that also. How the whole knowledge is expressed in the first letter and then its commentaries in the subsequent letters and things like that. That's another topic. But again and again, every day, I would be emphasizing, because it's easy to forget, that all that understanding is useful only if it is corroborated by experience. And for experience, the starting point of Vedic science is meditation, allowing the mind to settle down to its pure state, and purifying the nervous system in the process. So every day after this session, we will be meditating. And for anybody who may have come later, let me again revise that we will be using, of course, there are individual mantras for individuals depending upon their state, etc., which are called personal mantras. All those who have learned transcendental meditation or Vedic life meditation with a personal mantra should use their personal mantra. That is the most ideally suited for them. But for general public, we can use a common mantra, which is Ram. And the way of using that mantra is that we will think of that mantra very effortlessly in the mind. Start speaking the mantra effortlessly. Allow it to become subtler and fainter. And if it goes away, allow it to go. If thoughts come, we do not resist thought. We do not try to remove thoughts. When we get reminded, along with the thoughts, we add the mantra also. Again, start saying the mantra as a fine idea. Like that we continue and sit very comfortably. And before we start, I'll ask you to open and close and open the eyes 2-3 times, and we'll follow whatever is being said. And when the mantra is to be, now when we are closing the eyes, we don't have to start thinking the mantra right away. When the mantra is to be started, I'll let you know. So let's sit down comfortably in a chair with backrest, leaving the body loose, and let us close the eyes. Let's open the eyes. Close the eyes again. Open the eyes. Close the eyes. Open the eyes. So just by closing the eyes and sitting comfortably, we start to get some peace, some quietness in the mind. And then some thoughts must have started to come. Now these thoughts started to come without any effort from our side. This is an example of effortless thinking. Now the mantra also, if it comes effortlessly, that will be a good start. So for that, what we'll do is, this time when we close the eyes, we'll sit comfortably for about half a minute without trying anything from our side. Maybe some thoughts would start drifting into the mind, and in between the thoughts the mantra may also start to come. So if that happens, that is a perfect start. But if the mantra does not come for half a minute, then we'll not keep on waiting for it. We'll start the mantra from our side and then allow the mind to whatever it does. And for 20 minutes we'll meditate like that. And after 20 minutes you can look at the watch yourself and then finish meditation. And now we'll say, for thanksgiving to the tradition of masters from which this knowledge has come, we say Jai Gurudev, and you can close the eyes and continue to meditate.